trial in someplace, so he's not going to be able to be here. You had the roll call?
Hold on.
All right, we're going to open the public up to any comments on any resolution that we have printed that they might have any questions on. I'm here in the audience. How about out in the field? Who is that? Heard?
Yeah, hi. No comment on anything
Heard,
else.
you got a comment?
You have several microphones on or something. You're getting a terrible echo is all.
He's not coming through barely.
Can you people out in the field hear us? Wave your hand or something?
Awful feedback, awful multiple mics.
We can hear you, but there's an echo.
Patricia commenting.
All right.
Their volume is much lower.
You might have to raise that volume on that speaker, and I can lower this one down.
Nice to see you like that.
Pat Goldberg, could you say something so we could see if we can hear you better?
How is this? Is this okay?
That's better, yes.
One more time, please.
Okay, can you hear me? Before I could hear you, but there was an echo. I don't know if there still would be now.
No.
No, we can
Sounds
hear
good.
you better. Thank you.
All right, let's leave it at that. If we have to adjust it, we will. And who was on it? Kurt?
Kurt DeColst.
Hi, Gene. I just wanted to comment on the echo. No other comments.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it better now?
No,
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
not
it's a
having a
little better.
problem.
it's still echoing,
All right. You gotta go on the left side, I think.
and you're muffled, Gene.
Well, he's not facing the mic.
Yep. How's that?
That's okay.
That's better.
All right, moving along here. So with only one comment, it was about the echo. We'll move on to the.
No, I have my hands raised.
I'm sorry, Patricia, I didn't see it.
I want to comment.
Whoa. Whoa.
Send out provisions, $6,000.
Monitors, microphones. Play with it as we go.
Yeah. Patricia, please speak again.
I want to speak in favor of two of the amendments, the resolutions on the agenda. Can you hear me okay?
Down over here. I think that's that kind of rep.
I turned it down, but one with the little strap on it. This thing drives me crazy. No matter what I do, it can't get done.
Can we ask Patricia for another,
Huh?
another test?
Patricia, can you try to speak again?
Well, we had it working good, but we don't.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Excuse me. we can't hear.
No, it's okay. I think.
Patricia, could you try one more time, please?
Okay, I'm still hearing an echo on your part. Are you hearing me all right?
There's an echo. Speaking.
Do you want me to write my comment into the chat? It's rather long.
Oh, they gotta fix something, Patricia.
You give everybody
Oh, wait.
that, and look at their hand, that might be there. Everybody's mic's on. That might work better.
You can find somebody may have a laptop on phone that's activated, speaking back to the possibility. I can check all your computers, but.
Excuse us for this technology problem. We've only been working on it 3 months. when we tested it last Sunday, it worked beautiful, but there weren't a lot of people on it. So it was tough to see. He told me I'd have to adjust it on when we got here. What do we got?
Gene, I heard you pretty well.
Okay,
All
we
right.
can hear her pretty good.
And we're starting to hear you pretty
Everybody's
good.
mic was open.
Everybody's mic was open. Maybe that was what's causing it. All right, let's try that. Patricia, go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to speak in favor of two of the resolutions.
All
The
right.
first one is the one to appropriate contingency funds for retroactive increase to town employees. I know that they got either no raises or small raises. One department got big raises, and that's fine. But inflation for the 12 months ending January 2022 was 7.9%. And I think that if we can compensate our town employees either to that extent or close to that extent, they really deserve it. We have to keep our town employees happy. And the other one I want to speak about is reinstating the deputy town supervisor. As far in my memory, we've always had one and we've really needed one. For many years, it was Tom Deal. And he frequently had meetings with Gene Molino. He was involved in a lot of what was going on in the town. And if we had needed a deputy supervisor, he would have been available. Then we had one for a while who came to all the town board meetings, but didn't really get involved in anything else. And for a short period of time, we had someone who got involved in budget meetings and all the goings on in the town until you got rid of the position. We really need the position. It's not enough. I know you said at one time that you would appoint someone if we needed it. It could be an emergency. You might not all get together. You might not all agree on someone. We need someone who has worked with a supervisor regularly and so is able to take over if something happens.
All right, thank you, Patricia, for your comments. Anyone else out there before we move along? I don't see any hands.
We have one out in the-
Uh-oh, we got one out in the audience. Go ahead. You got to come up to here, please. No, excuse me. You have to sit,
To the
be on the
microphone.
mic, so it gets up on the screen.
And your
there.
name, please.
My name is Kathy Tracy.
Okay.
And I'm also backing 100% what she just said about the resolution 60 reinstating the deputy.
Can't hear it.
I don't understand what the reason was that that position was taken away when it appears that every township around us has them. And if I'm correct in saying, correct me, we've always had one until just recent. And I just wonder what the logic, what your reasoning was for taking that position away. As board members, can you explain that to me, what the reason was? You know,
Yeah, because of Pam.
explain it very well in emergency situations and so forth. And why wouldn't you want that position filled? And board member, I would love to hear the reason.
Anybody have something to say on the board?
I did a little bit of research. And according to the county book, 6 towns have them, 5 towns don't. Just informational fact.
And Luzerne has always had one that. Is that correct? In the last 30, 40 years? Do any of you know? What was the reason for voting it out? Mr. Fazio, can you explain what that reason was that you did not?
Can't speak for the whole board.
What was your reason?
What was my opinion or my reason?
What's your opinion on what?
My opinion was that it was used as a political tool. And that was why we voted it out.
And how about the rest of you? Mr. Lewandowski? What was your reason?
I have to agree with Mike at the situation, qualifications. Okay. Was another thing on my part.
So we have political and qualifications, anybody else? Mr. Niles, you're new, Mr. Hamlin?
They weren't here.
They weren't, I just said they were new. As a taxpayer and part of this community, I'm outraged to think after 30, 40 years that we've had them in many other communities, townships has this position filled as a backup plan. You don't have a backup person in the event something
Yes, we do.
catastrophic should happen.
Yes, there is.
I think it's a horrible.
We do have a backup plan.
There is a backup plan. Any one of us can fulfill that position.
Right, but we'll have the deputy.
Why? Why do we need one?
Why not have one?
I'm asking you the question now.
Because I think it's important that somebody is appointed to take on that responsibility.
I'm asking you the reason for it.
Because I find it important as a community member.
I thank you.
I don't find it, my excuse is not political. I think that's a bunch of garbage. Because I think that's all we're hearing is everything is political and it's, the community is.
Just for your information, ma'am, I have offered Mr. Merlino, and I think you'll verify this, that I help him in any way I can.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Now,
And there's,
as I understand the position, and I as recently as 2 weeks ago read the state laws, really, the only thing the position does is that person takes over presiding at these meetings if our supervisor can't be here.
well, isn't that an excellent reason to have one? Thank you.
Well,
Emergency.
the other side of it is that, let's say Gene got sick and couldn't make it tonight. All we have to do is appoint a temporary chairman for the meeting. It takes 2 seconds.
But why not have somebody fill the position and be ready for him?
We'd be ready for what?
If he's not available, you have somebody, and you have somebody that's next to him at all times filling the position.
But
I don't understand the reason why it's an issue.
that,
Having another
do you
person,
know that person has no vote?
that's right, they don't have a vote,
Right.
so why not have a person? So I guess the vote will show.
All right, thank you for your comments.
Well, I have one comment, being the new guy up here. As the resolution was presented to me and looking at it, my old job, when I walked in to my supervisor's office, I wanted more staffing for part of the facility I worked at. It'd been working fine for the 4 years I had the job. I walked in there, he says, "What's changed in your job that you need someone else?" I didn't have a clear answer, and that's where I think what the other councilman said, there's, when I understand of it, any one of us can cover that position. And what emergency, barring a meteorite hitting the town, there's 5 of us, if one of us can't make it, it's Councilman Fazio wasn't supposed to make it here because he had EMT training tonight. He's here. We didn't worry about filling his position, or, I mean, that's my point. From the new guy, from my point of view, what it looks like is nothing's changed in the job. There have been aides in the past appointed for different supervisors. I've seen that, and I don't. That's a long time ago. One was Eggleston, Supervisor Eggleston. But that's where I'm coming from. For it. Where is the need? You know, if that's the powers that they have, then you're talking about paying someone additional salary, but over $1,300 to $1,800 to be here. If
To run a meeting in case.
yeah, in case, but we can do that. The board can do that right now as it is. And the taxpayer, saving taxpayer money without putting someone on there unnecessarily should be our duty. That's all I have.
Jeff, come up here, please.
So let's see. So you did it to Dan. So you asked me, that was totally a political.
We can't hear Paulette.
We can't hear Paulette.
Speak
Put
up
your
a
mouth
bit,
right up
yeah.
to the mic, Paulette.
I said, I was at the meeting when they deleted the position. And if I remember correctly, we couldn't get a recording of the minutes because they were overwritten by the tape. I can remember Mike Fazio saying to Gene, Gene says, "Why are you doing this to me, Mike?" And Mike says, "Well, you did it to Dan, didn't you, Gene?" So if you ask me, if that's not political, it's a very negative political climate that we're all in this town. downhill fast.
It was just me that was being political,
You're
Paulette.
the one that said it.
Let me finish my question, okay?
You're-
Go ahead. I'll let you finish first.
Don't bully me.
I'm not.
You're not gonna bully
I'm
me.
not trying to.
No.
But you stated that I said it was political, but
I
was,
did not say that you said it was
oh, okay,
political.
all right.
I said, your comment was, well, you did it to Dan, didn't you, chief?
He did.
Now, to me,
But he
that's
did.
political.
He did.
And that's the reason.
Did he do it to Dan?
You got rid of the job.
Did he do it to Dan?
Don't bully me, Mike.
I'm
just
asking you a
telling
question.
what you said.
Bully's a favorite buzzword of anybody who doesn't want to answer a question.
And all the other people.
But just don't forget, I wasn't the only one that voted, Paula. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
And anybody else? Oh,
Good evening, Jack Aaron from Davern Drive. I have, I'm just asking for some clarification on the resolution with regards to cost of living rate.
Can you hold off? I'd like to finish this conversation on this part one resolution, if you don't mind. I think there's some other hands out there. Then instead of jumping back and forth, I'll bring you right up.
On the supervisor.
Yeah.
I have a comment on that too. I'll do that.
All right, do that.
Yeah, I question as well what the need is at this point. I believe, every campaign, Mr. Molino said he had been, that the prior deputy had done nothing for 16 years.
No, I didn't say that. Never said that at all. Never.
It was in one of your campaigns.
No, I never said that.
Okay, well,
He said it himself in the newspaper. I never said it.
my point is, if you went without 16 years, why now? You need to-
He was working well with me on that. That was his position to take later on. Well, can I just say something? This position, yes, it's quite a position, but be surprised how many times I would have to call him to help me with do something, come to a meeting real quick, take care of a lot of little things, and that's what you need a deputy to be able to depend on every once in a while, to come and also look for advice. You know, it's not just a nothing job.
But he was a board.
Yep, I understand that.
Are you looking for a board member now?
I haven't, I have to first get, if I can get it back, then I'll have to make the decision what I want. That's my choice, not a board choice.
And also was brought up by Councilman Hanlon. Do we need to have, when the other council members have said there is no need, that they fill in or they can handle an appointment if you happen to not make the meeting or something like that? Is there a need to spend that money?
I think it's well worth it.
And how would it be well worth it if they're not?
Well, that's your opinion and some people's opinion. In my opinion, they're needed. I have the right to have an opinion, and the government gives me a right to pick one.
Right, correct.
This resolution is to get that right back. It was removed as a position by the board
Legally, right?
legally.
Okay, and my comments on the other issue will come afterwards.
Yes, sir. I just want to make sure there's no more on this one.
Pardon?
I want to just make sure there's no more on this conversation.
I just asked the board.
It appears as though there is one more person that wants to talk about the
Yeah.
deputy
I
supervisor.
just asked the board, and please correct me if I'm wrong, we're still operating here under a vote of no confidence with the supervisor. Am I correct?
We can't hear Mr. Herring.
Has not
Please
been,
put your mouth right up to the microphone.
Okay, and if that is the case, I just asked how you could possibly vote for a fulfill a request like this if the board has in unison voted. Vote of no confidence. That's it.
I saw one more hand. Pam?
Pam Pettis, Schofield Road. I'm the deputy supervisor. I was the one that was a deputy
supervisor. I did fill in for one meeting for Mr. Molino when he was sick. If you guys recall, two of you.
I'm not disagreeing with you. You ran the meeting.
Yes, I did. So it is possible that it's needed. It was not political. And I was the one that was here with Gene that day that the email went out about the dam. I spent 5 hours here with Gene working on that. And when he had to leave, I still stayed here to take people's comments and questions on it. So, I mean, I know it was personal against me. You didn't want me in there, which is fine. But it is a job that is needed. As you saw, it was in November when Mr. Molino was sick after the election.
Thank you. Anyone else? Oh, another hand back there. Please come up. Try to speak into the mic and as loud as you can. Thank you.
Okay, speaking of political moves, wasn't there an email sent out to the people that the dam was gonna fail just before the election? And we never did find out who did that on our emergency response? Was that a political move or not?
I have no idea. Nobody ever found out where it came from.
We couldn't find out because I couldn't get the password to get into the town's website to give it to the state police and the law enforcement.
So would it be classified as a political move?
I'm not going to classify that, but I will say why I couldn't get into it and keep the police looking at it.
Nobody else can ever see them look into it, and then it kind of like vanished, which made it a political move.
Well, as you say, that's water over the dam. We're going to move
That's
on.
what it was- that's what it
Thank
was
you.
Meant to be. Well, we're talking about political moves here, so let's try to find out where it came from, or who sent it, or how it got out of the vault into the email system. Somebody had to get into the vault to get it. The vault. Had to be a political move.
All right, we'll take your comment. We'll take your comments on the advisement. We have to just move on. I'm not trying to shut you down. I'm just trying to be fair with everybody, a few minutes for everybody.
It is water over the dam. That's where it started. That was a political move.
All right, anybody else? All right, Paulette, wait a minute. Anybody out there? Okay.
Just one more comment. The only person that had the password to the emergency response list. Fazio. And his daughter, Doug.
Jamie never had the password, Paulette. Hate to break your bubble.
All right, any other comments so we can move on with more get these resolutions going? All right, go ahead, read the 556.
Resolution 56 of 2022, resolution to pay the bills of the fourth abstract of 2022. General fund vouchers 28,563 to 28,619 in the amount of $37,205.84. Highway fund vouchers 28,620 to 28,635 and 28,642 in the amount of $59,393.86. SW1 vouchers 28,643 to 28,648 in the amount of $8,853.78. Street Lighting District 1 voucher 28,649 in the amount of $42,6807.
I make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Carried 5-0.
Resolution 57.
Resolution to accept town board minutes of March 29th. Special
motion.
town board meeting.
I'll make a motion.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Carried 5-0. Resolution 58 of 2022, resolution to appropriate contingency funds for employee salary increases. Resolved, the town will appropriate the contingency funds in the amount of, which is not determined yet, to provide a retroactive cost of living increase to town employees who did not receive an increase in pay for the calendar year 2022.
I'll bring that motion up.
I'll second it.
Any questions on it?
Gene, it says who did, people who did not receive a raise, didn't everybody get one?
No, okay, well, if you read the information, everybody was supposed to get a 6% raise in my budget when it was put out. The budget was changed to work on the road department part of it, to give them even more in some cases, which they deserve, to keep up with the cost of living and keep up with other towns, what they're paying their employees. That was 1/3 of the employees. The other 2/3, instead of a 6%, it was down to 3%. It was given a 3% raise in the budget. I'm trying to get that 3% back into it for the cost of living of the budget.
No, and I'm all for it. I just want to make sure we didn't have a wording error because it says they're going to give raises to people who did not get one this
No,
year.
well, that's not,
Doesn't it say that?
no, I don't know. I didn't read it.
Shouldn't it say town employees who only received a 3% raise?
Whoever would say, that's what it should say. And that's what we'll make changes on it.
Who
Must be
only
nobody read it.
received.
I'd like to make a comment, Gene.
Yes, sir.
I don't want the raise.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't want it either.
That's fine.
I'm in favor of our people being properly paid, but as a town councilman, I don't need another 3%.
Yeah, me neither. I'm
Like to, and then I'll be unanimous. I'll be the same thing. So, all right, we'll move on and vote. You gotta,
We have to change
excuse
the
me,
wording.
excuse me.
Told me I could be heard on this.
Hold on.
Got up there and now you're voting on it.
Oh, this is the one I'm sorry. I apologize to you. This is the one you wanted? Oh, all right. We'll listen to you first. I'm sorry. Want to come back up to the
Yeah.
mic, please? That's my fault.
First of all, I would like to say that I do support raises for the town. It's not that is not my issue. My issue with this is the vagueness of the wording in it. It's beyond ambiguous. And a resolution being basically tantamount to a legislation or a law cannot be vague or ambiguous. Constitutionally valid. Again, no problems with raises, but this thing is so wide open and so ambiguous. It doesn't say who's getting a raise, who did get one. If my recollection is correct, the budget last year said everyone was getting a raise.
6%,
Some
yes.
did, and now this is raising the issue of a cost of living raise. That be to the people that already got 3 or 6%, or did some people not get 3 or 6%?
Anybody that got 6% or more,
It's not the dollar amount of arguing or questioning, it's the vagueness of this resolution. It's just wide open for abuse and interpretation.
well, I'll have the attorney be more fully involved when he makes these up. We did bring this up at the agenda meeting 2 weeks ago, and I kind of explained what we were doing, but it probably didn't get in all this stuff in. But it is, the people got 6% and more, 1/3 of the people. And that was including, of course, the living raise, because everything is going up. The other portion was supposed to get a 6%, and it was moved down to 3%.
But that's what exactly, quote unquote, the other portion.
Well, the other 2/3 of the employees, I'll use that phrase.
Can you identify them by like department or?
Right, well,
Do you-
okay.
Mr. Herring, do you have this?
It says specified by department.
Yeah.
Okay, so the road department got 6% and more in some cases. The clerical part of this community, judges, office staff, only got 3. Buildings and grounds, other part of that community of salaries, only got 3. Those are the ones that are trying to bring up. And also the board members. Now, we're declining ours, which is proper.
Well, again, I think it is so ambiguous, it's just incredible. I would ask you to ask council before you vote, if council thinks it should be worded or something.
Yeah, it can be amended. It can be amended tonight to reflect the actual departments that it impacts and identify that it's for those persons who only received a 3% increase in those particular departments, which buildings and grounds, sounds like the court.
And the office staff.
And
Well, the clerk's office, the bookkeeper, the assessor, the zoning officer, court clerk, buildings and grounds, judges.
Supervisor Merlino, is
I
this
understand.
accurate? Is this the people we're talking about?
Oh, yeah.
So
Senior center.
you're right, it should be in there, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, do you have the list? It can just be.
This was in the packet that
incorporated
I
into
just
the-
received.
Oh, yeah, it can be incorporated into the resolution.
You know, in light of the fact that it is, I think agreed that it's ambiguous today, and that the town is under investigation by the controller's office for expenditure issues. I think those two things dictate that this resolution is tabled and rewritten, or need to council again and come up with something that's clear so that when taxpayers read this, we know how much money is being spent, to whom it's being spent, and if someone that's already received the raise now getting us off the living rate,
No,
and all these things, that needs to be clear in here. And I think that it's extremely vague the way it's saying it.
thank you.
So we're still under discussion on this issue,
Right,
correct?
right.
I hate to see our folks still waiting for the second 3%, but I do want to get it right. I don't know if my fellow councilman feels those.
Is this the amount? Is that the amount?
How do you feel if we add this information given to us tonight, we could move forward, or do you think we need to?
Like I called out right from the beginning and I was told I didn't read it properly, but I did. It said everybody who hadn't gotten a raise this year, but actually that's not the case. So I don't think it's properly worded as our council.
And I would
said,
agree.
you know, we
I
need
have to agree.
So the.
We can make it retro, but let's just get it right. That's all, you know, make it retro to tonight or whatever we were gonna do, but let's get the wording right. So we're covered.
You want to work on the wording?
Mr. Herring said, let's work on the wording and make it.
Want to do that right now?
I think we should.
Yeah.
So the list of people that are on that that you gave me this list of are the supervisor, deputy supervisor, which sounds like there's a discussion there, councilman, justice, court clerk, assessor, town clerk, deputy town clerk, bookkeeper, dog controller, zoning clerk, zoning officer, highway superintendent, senior center director, data collector, historian, beach director, and then the buildings and grounds. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people in buildings and grounds.
Well, the first 4 or 5 come off. Because we said we didn't want it.
Right.
Right, we'll do.
The town cook. Senior center. Okay, and then the senior center cook. So I can add up these numbers and see what we have. Okay. Well, I don't know if we add that in. What about? Oh, so we got the. Okay, and then if they're taking this out. So the total amount of is estimated at about $20,526. If you subtract out the town board, that's about $1,800. So I don't know if you want to do an amount not to exceed. My recommendation is that you don't identify that you identify the actual positions of those persons that are going to be getting that raise specifically. So this listing can be added as an addendum or exhibit to the resolution and included in the back of the packet for next month's meeting. But that would be my recommendation, that the resolution indicate that these persons would be given an additional 3% raise. If you wanted to do a cost not to exceed, it would be about 21,000, and then you would all defer yours, if that's what you choose to do.
I like that idea.
Sounds good.
And then we want to change the words in the resolution, who did not receive an increase, to say who only received 3%.
Who only received 3% previously, and those positions attached, incorporated in this resolution.
Right.
And I would recommend that this just be an attachment to the minutes.
All right, everybody satisfied with that?
Yeah.
All right,
So we have a motion.
we have a motion and a second. We have to have the roll call. You want to make it a roll call?
Sure. Councilman Hanlon.
Yay.
Councilman Lewandowski,
Yes, with the changes.
Councilman Fazio,
Aye, with the changes.
Councilman Niles,
Yes, with the changes.
Supervisor Molino.
And I'll say yes with the changes.
So 5-0 carried. Resolution 59 of 2022, resolution approving the purchase of flowers. Resolved, the town authorizes the purchase of flowers to be placed around the town from community beautification budget line in amount not to exceed.
Well, I have $1,500 here because it was 12 something last year. But in the budget, there's 2,000 for beautification, so we can not to exceed 2,000 beautification.
Gene, I saw something from, I think it was Rick asking that we change out our pots or something like
Yep,
that.
yep.
Would that be included in this?
Yeah, that's all one lump sum. We're gonna get flowers. We're not gonna put them on the hangers anymore. If they'd rather have barrels, they're easy to take care of.
How much of more is that? Gonna
In-
be enough to
inside of
cover
it,
it?
yeah.
I'll make a motion. We do it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, carried 5-0. Resolution number 60 of 2022, resolution reinstating the position of deputy town supervisor. Resolved, the town board hereby reinstates the appointed position of deputy town supervisor with an annual stipend of $1,854 per the 2022 budget.
I'll make that motion.
As I've stated, I'm not in favor of it, but I'll second it to bring it to a vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do you want me to do a roll call?
I'd like you to do a roll call, please.
Councilman Hanlon,
No.
Councilman Lewandowski,
Nay.
Councilman Fazio,
No.
Councilman Niles,
No.
Supervisor Merlino.
Yes. We'll try again next month.
Resolution number 61 of 2022, resolution appointing members to the Workplace Violence Prevention Committee. I don't have the names.
I have the names.
Okay.
I'd like to see Jim Niles on there and Tim Ham.
So are you bringing that motion?
Let's have a little discussion.
Well,
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, I have no idea what it means.
it's a committee that if somebody in the town has a workplace violence problem, they will submit a paper of that effect and what the problems are, and it would go to you two gentlemen to look at before it comes to the full board.
Okay, so it's like a liaison.
Basically, if that's what you want to call it.
Like a point of contact.
Pardon me? Have experience with that, so if you don't wanna do it. You know, I, the only reason I'm saying this is I've got the time. You know,
Well, if you don't really want to do it, you're gonna kind of, we could like point Mike. Mike would like to take it. It's no problem.
yeah, I'm, well, you know what I'm doing. I'm knee deep in lots of stuff and I'm enjoying it.
Define it right now and I'll point Mike. No big deal.
Okay, I respectfully declined, but I'm not real adamant, so.
Right, and we'll put Mike Bazey on it
And Councilman Hanlon.
and Councilman Handler. If he so wants to accept. it.
Yes, I do.
Introduced by Supervisor.
I'll introduce it, yep.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, carried 5-0. Resolution 62 of 2022, resolution to fill the vacancy on the Zoning Board of Appeals, resolved. Who are you going to put in that?
Michael.
The only one was Michael Bordeaux. that gave-
Michael
we-
Bordeaux.
We interviewed him about a month ago.
And also I spoke to the chairman of the ZBA and he was in agreement.
I make a motion.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, carried 5-0.
There is a meeting Thursday night, if we can contact him and let him know. CBA meeting Thursday night.
I'll call him.
Resolution 63 of 2022, resolution to fill the vacant seat on the planning board, resolved.
Can we do two at once here? Because we have a vacancy on the planning board and alternate vacancy on the planning board.
So that's what I have, we have it.
Is that coming up?
But when we interviewed,
Right, but it doesn't say alternate. in there.
That's okay, I can add that.
we can add
Okay,
that.
good.
So it'll read resolved, so-and-so is
Resolved.
appointed,
Jason.
resolved.
Jason Tyler
Right,
be appointed to the open seat on the planning board and Howard Schaefer be appointed alternate on the planning board.
I'll make that motion with those changes.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, carried 5-0. Resolution 64 of 2022, resolution amending the town's healthcare policy. Whereas the town board has amended its healthcare policy from time to time, and whereas it has been determined that it is in the best interest of the town to end payments after 2023 for Medicare Part B premiums for current and past town employees and officers, now therefore be it resolved that the town's healthcare policy is amended to pay $1,200 towards Medicare Part B premiums for the years 2022 and 2023, and then end all payments for Medicare Part B premiums.
I'm against it, but I'll make a motion so we can vote on it.
I'll second it then.
Can we have some discussion?
Discussion on that too.
Not on these. Go ahead.
We're not voting yet.
All right, go ahead. Come on up. No, I gotta have you so people out there could see
And here,
and hear.
Again, I will full support of payment for former employees who's got nothing to do with that. But it's the same as the other resolution. It is so ambiguous. Nothing is defined. The dollar amounts are clear, 1,200 for 22 and 23. Is that for each year? Or is that combined? What is the termination date that people will stop getting it? This is extremely ambiguous. It can be interpreted in so many ways, and it can be abused in so many ways. All I'm asking is that you consult counsel, have them look it over, and make sure that it's clear, precise, and fair, and that our retired employees do in fact get the benefits that they do.
Oh, I'll move to table this because I believe in what you just said. It's just not enough, but there was more writing, but it just didn't come out on this. But I'll table that until next month. We've been doing this for about 6 months, but we'll get it eventually right.
I'd like to set up a situation for workshops so we can all sit down, go over this with the information that has been presented to us, that is on file, and also from the people that this involves, and take care of this once and for all.
was that a motion?
That is a motion.
I will second that because we've been anticipating more information from the auditor. And maybe we can have the workshop with the auditor and get to the bottom of this. If I was asked to vote on this right now, I might as well flip a coin.
I wouldn't flip a coin. I'd be against it because these people retired with the premise that they're getting these things and it's being taken away from them. Correct. Illegally and irresponsibly. So I would definitely be against it.
All right, it's tabled. Want to make a date? Mike, you can't make it on Monday yet?
Well, I don't pass them.
How about next Tuesday?
We got
No,
something
there's
next
something
week.
going on.
Next Tuesday
Yeah,
is
we're
a
public hearing.
public hearing.
Oh, okay. How long
Do-
before you finish them up?
Are we in agreement that we want the auditor there? Or no?
I think if it's possible,
Like,
I'm not sure if he would.
Scope of duty, Jim.
Yeah, I
No,
don't
that's
know
not,
if he's going.
I don't think so.
What we need is the information.
well, he's been digging it up.
This is all the information.
Why don't can we invite everybody that's
Well,
willing to show up that's either receiving these?
I have no problem with
I
it.
think we
I
should.
know
We don't
what it
promise.
is. It's no problem.
Right? That's fair. Let everybody represent themselves and hear what's going on. And
All right, so let's just
we
table
have
it
to
for
do
now.
something with it.
and
We
we'll
can't
get-
just keep letting these people hang, you know,
Yeah.
it's just not fair.
Are you
Been
going to
going on
table it
for a
and set a
year now.
workshop?
We'll table and set a workshop.
When do you want to set the workshop for, or do you want to wait and just set up workshop?
Well,
when
right now, we have a meeting on the 19th, we have a meeting on the 25th of April, already set.
we have one on the 19th.
Yeah, that's. the
Public hearing.
Oh, that's the public, right?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
and the 25th is our agenda meeting for next month. I can,
26.
I can.
26th will be a Sunday, 27th.
Oh, 26 is Tuesday.
Tuesday.
The agenda meeting is Monday.
Huh?
The agenda meeting is Monday, the 25th. You want to do it Tuesday, the 26th?
26th. That's a separate thing. So we'll make it for Tuesday, the 26th, at 6 or 7?
7,
7.
19th and 26th.
And that's just going to be a workshop, correct?
That's all it's gonna be.
One topic.
Yep.
Resolution number 65 of 2022, accepting purchase order number PO 0023580 from New York State DEC. Resolved, Highway Superintendent Dual is hereby authorized to take the necessary actions to accept purchase order number 0023580 in the amount of $50,000 for maintenance regarding the Hudson River Special Management Area.
Make a motion.
All right, so should be, this is coming from the state of New York, and it's gonna be a contract between our DPW and doing work along the Hudson River. Am I right, Ron? Exactly.
Correct.
They're paying us.
And they're gonna pay us 50,000 to have our road department do it. It's gonna take time. It's not gonna all be done in one sitting or 1 year, but it'll be stretched out.
It doesn't pay our wages, so it pays for the equipment that we use.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
We have discussion
Aye.
first. I just wanted to ask, is there any specifications that they're asking for that need to be met, Ron, where we have to send in forms or documentation?
They're asking for a bunch of insurance, stuff like that. County didn't want to send it until we got the resolution, okay? And I want to make it on record that that money, I would like to put it in a capital equipment fund. At a later date.
What about the fact that the work done? Do you have to show proof of this, that, the other thing, or?
There's gonna be a DC lady on site. She's gonna tell us exactly what we need to do, what, where, mostly anything that we do is gonna stay on site.
So is it something that will fit within the 50,000? I mean, if they're not gonna ask you to do 200,000 worth of work for
No.
$50,000, we know what it is.
Yeah, it's reshaping their parking lots, digging out old fire pits and digging holes for a bucket for their picnic tables and taking out the old outhouses and make a new hole for a new one. That's basically and very little brushing down to the sites.
If I recall correctly, you gave us an approximate amount that you thought it would take to do the work. What was that amount?
50,000.
To do the work?
Yeah,
So we're selling something for the same amount it's gonna cost us to do it?
that's the quote that I gave them, that it would take us to do this in an amount of time. It's at our leisure. We don't have much going on, or it's rainy day. A lot of stuff we can do during the rain.
I think the money should be put right back in the account to pay for the expenditures. Not put back in a general fund situation.
Any more discussion on that? How about not putting it back in, and put it back in the general fund to cover the expenses? Not while going high, I'm sorry,
Put it back where it comes out
where
of.
it comes out.
First stroke, don't you think?
What,
He wants to put it in. Did you want to put it in?
back into the highway where it comes out of.
Put it in a capital equipment fund,
That's
so
different.
that down in the future, we can pay for something, so that I'm taking out loans on it, so.
Does the highway budget have capital equipment line item in it?
I see the wisdom with that.
When do we
Something's gonna break, you have the money pre-positioned for. See that.
I'll guarantee you, that would have to be set up with our accountant, because you're earmarking money
Down in the
for a
bank.
certain fund. Okay, and if you're doing it for vehicles, okay, of that sort, you have to set it up with a special category, and that's all it can be used for. That money cannot be
Yeah,
used for
use it
anything
for
else.
equipment and not,
They're gonna specify for what type of equipment. You're not going out and be able to,
I don't know about that, but we can look into
Okay.
it.
I don't like the idea of kind of transferring money one to another without the board's approval.
well, that's what he's asking.
Yeah, so
When will we be getting the money, Ron, in this year or next year?
As we do the work there, I'll fill out a voucher.
So it'd
and
be
turn it in. They're gonna
incrementally?
pay it to us as we go.
Okay.
If you want
when do you think it'll be
payroll
done?
to go back in, the payroll goes back in, the extra goes into the point fours.
When do you think you'll be done with it?
When?
Yeah, approximately.
Next few years. It's
Oh.
nothing that needs to be done this summer, no.
Add add to the resolution, then it should go back where it came from.
I can do it
Just so it's-
quickly, I can do it quickly and get it done and over with, or I can take my time with it. And just draw it out for the next 2 years.
Well, my concern
I
is
think in
supposed.
another 2 years, they're gonna get more money to do more of it.
Right, well, what happens, Ron, if you, something that you did immediately is deteriorated by the time you finish the job in 2 years, would you have to go back around, circle back around and do it again in order?
They did not say anything like that.
Good question, all right?
This same scenarios, they did over in Fort Ann. Their town did the exact same thing in Buttermilk Falls Road. There's- Feel like it'd be a good job for us to do, because we have a lot more
All
people.
right,
coming
excuse
up.
me, once you change the tape, give me a minute.
Would understand.
Changing the tape. They're changing the tape. No, they're changing the tape. Time out.
Thank you.
You want the tape one?
No, I don't. No, he just said, where do we stand? And I said, we're changing the tape. He thought he said we want to table it.
When you have to let them know? Soon?
Soon. Insurance thing.
Let's wait.
I need a resolution.
One resolution. I thought we'd asked Mr. Cole to harvest milfoil. You don't know.
I don't know anything about that, but
All right, Lori, you all right? All right, Ron, go ahead.
Very seldomly do we have the state that wants to pay us to do something. Usually they would come to us and just ask if we could do it. So it's another thing to keep in mind. And this is at our leisure. There's no rush on it. One site at a time.
Is there drawings or something?
There's, yeah, I was gonna say, is there a scope of work?
There is very little drawings. I can get them to you and show them to you.
Well, I think,
Do we have to sign an agreement?
Yeah, they want to.
Do you have a copy of it?
I think Colleen has that.
It's in your pockets, I believe.
Gee, did you have it
Yes,
last?
it's in the-
agenda?
The packet was supposed to have that in.
I thought it was given to the town attorney at least one meeting ago.
Yeah, has the council had a chance to review it or no? I think we should table it. I really do, just to get more information.
This is, Mike, it's in your packet.
Right, but I'm not a lawyer, Gene. I'm not gonna read it and say it's good, right? I mean, I'm not gonna do that. It's just, not how it works.
Well, he's got it. The attorney's got it.
What was his recommendation?
We never got back to us. We expected it tonight.
I'll make a motion, we table it. I think it's a great idea, but I'd love to see the scope of work, what the expectations are, what the reporting documentation expectations are by the state, and all that stuff. I think it's important before we enter into agreement with the state that at least we know what we're getting into, It's just my opinion.
They basically want to take those sites down by the river and just. spruce
No,
them up a
I
little
understand.
bit.
Oh, I get it, Ron. I just said I'd like to see what the expectations are, what the ramifications are, what liability we have if something goes wrong and all that stuff before we just jump right into it and say, let's do it. So I make a motion, we table it until we get more information.
I might be able to have that DC lady come here and speak too if you want.
That'd be good.
Yeah, but I don't know if council's looked at it yet. I agree with Mike in that.
All right,
I'll second Mike's motion to table it.
all right, we'll second it right now, Ron, and see if you can get the young lady to come up.
Yeah, let me talk to the DC lady. She can come.
This pretty much says a lot here, but
If she came to the agenda meeting, that'd be good.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But we still have to need Mr. Crow to review that for sure.
Okay, and I'll
What
get you
sense?
pictures of what.
All right,
So there's a motion
We
and a
don't have to
second to
vote.
table it.
She said you don't have to vote to table something.
Okay.
okay,
All set?
go ahead.
Okay. Resolution number 66 of 2022, accepting agreement with Solitude for 2022. Resolve Supervisor Molino is hereby authorized to take the necessary actions to accept the agreement with Solitude Lake Management for a total of $5,580 for survey and permitting services.
Speak on that?
Sure, what we have here is, we had a contract in place with Solitude last year to do this work. The work basically is twofold. It's prepare the application to the APA to use an herbicide in Lake Luzerne to kill the milfoil. And yeah, and this resolution also includes having them do a little study that the APA has asked us to do, which is quantify the native protected milfoil species that are in the lake. Study this, right? Not invasive. The APA wants to know if we kill the wrong stuff. It's the same amount of money. They renewed the contract at no additional cost, same amount of money, same company. It's basically just extending a completion date on something that's going to expire 1st of May. If we don't do
Has
this.
Attorney Crow reviewed this contract?
This was approved last year,
Um,
and then they had to cancel because it's too late in the year. So it's the same contract. as last.
I can't answer that.
Make sure that we keep on.
I don't know.
Up on the lake and the progress we have made, and we'll hope to continue. I make a motion or introduce the motion that's on the floor.
I'll second it. then.
All in favor?
All right,
Opposed? Hearing none, carried.
For your information, I gave it to him after our last. meeting.
I don't have your contract said those are attorney review. Last year's, this year's.
The attorney has it.
same one as I-
That's just my take. That's my opinion, but
Okay, that's fine.
Are we good?
Yeah.
Resolution 67 of 2022, authorization to pay conference fees for Lake Luzerne Association. Resolve the town board authorizes the expenditure of $300 to cover the registration fees for 4 representatives of the Lake Luzerne Association to attend an upcoming conference.
I make that motion.
Yeah, we need to change it just a little bit, Lori. Okay, I'll second it. I need a little discussion.
Okay, go ahead.
It's 3 representatives of the Lake Luzerne Association and myself.
All in favor?
$75 a piece.
Okay.
Drinks are not included.
I know. That's a $150 a piece ticket.
Are we done with discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none.
Hold on, Lori. When I brought that up last time, I gave the wrong dates.
Okay,
It is at the end of April. I don't know. I watched the YouTube thing the other night, and for some reason I said the end of June.
end of April.
Yeah, that conference is, it's in Lake George. It's a statewide conference. It's the 29th and 30th of April. And as I said before, we have the honor of having the Lake Association present a paper at that conference about our lake. I'm done.
Resolution 68 of 2022, accepting agreement with Warren Hamilton County's Office for the Aging. Resolved, Supervisor Molino is hereby authorized to take the necessary action to accept the agreement with Warren Hamilton County's Office of the Aging for the period covering April 1, 2022 through March 31, 2023.
I make a motion.
Second.
And just so you know, that's transportation at the senior center.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, carried 5-0. And now we're on to reports.
All right, report from Councilman Lewandowski.
Oh, hold on.
Oh,
We were supposed to have a resolution for that white sweeper that's on the hat. Remember that?
I remember it, but did we get it in writing or anything?
It was,
I don't know if that's
it was
the
actually on the list.
But it has to get on the list. Unless you get it in writing, this is what's happening. with-
We have
I
it.
thought if
You
I
have
brought
it?
it up at the agenda meeting, you'd go on
Yeah,
writing.
Well, a lot of it we bring up, it's not going, but we'll have to make sure we get it.
He
done.
missed a few this time around when he did the resolutions. You guys can add it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Can I get a motion to get that?
Okay,
So
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Explain what it is so everybody knows what we're
Yes, they
doing.
have to declare a surplus first.
Town of Hadley is looking into our white sweeper that we're selling to them for 7,000. I Put it on Auctions International. We might not get that much. We might get a little more. They've been a good neighbor and they need it, so.
At our last meeting, Ron, I don't believe you were here. Okay, and it was brought up to our attorney that he was gonna check into that to see if it could be done that way. Okay, from town to town. Okay,
It can be
Okay.
it can be done, it can be done that way.
Yeah.
I understand that
Done it
having
that way.
done considerable amount of work on it to get it up and running and the whole 9 yards now.
No.
They got the water system going on it, they got the brakes done onto it. You know, it's
So,
not
yeah.
just sitting there. Okay, and
Are you seconding it?
I'm looking forward that the other town, you know, our adjacent town can use it and everything.
Yeah.
I'd love to second it, but can we legally do this? And it was supposed to be checked on.
Yeah, the process to follow here is that you have to declare the item surplus. You can sell by negotiated sale so long as you are of the opinion that you're getting fair market value or the best fair market. closest to
second
fair
it.
market value.
I'll second it if that is,
It was already declared surplus a while ago.
that is correct last year.
Yeah.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you.
Okay, we had Councilman Hanlon had introduced it, Councilman Niles had seconded it, so let's just do the vote.
Oh, yes.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, carried 5-0. So I should just add to the resolution, what we just talked about, and I'll get.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I bring up something? We finished with that? Oh, no, we have more. Okay, Councilman Fazio.
Oh, yeah, just my monthly report from the court. Everything's running great. Protocol is still to wear masks during court sessions. And they would love to get, somebody in there to do some security or whatever, which I think we're moving forward with that.
We
So
got that.
that's a good thing. The assessor's office, she's very busy. She's preparing for the filing of the tentative roll, which is due to the county on April 15th. It's essentially her deadline to complete all the work that was brought to her prior to the March 1st of this year, sales reviews, permits, maps, exemption, star reports, etc. Our town's level of assessment this year will be 86%. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you. Councilman Niles.
Yeah. There's one resolution that's missing. It's pretty important, and that is the contract with AE Commercial Diving to do the milfoil removal. Thought we had,
We have a few missing from our,
yeah.
We didn't get that yet?
No, we got it. Sent to the
We
attorney.
got their proposed contract. I don't have it back from the attorney.
What is this one?
It's a contract for $84,000 with a company called AE Commercial Diving Services to harvest milfoil in Lake Luzerne for 48 days at a rate of $1,750 per day. And I didn't notice that it was not on the list of resolutions until last night, so my apologies for the last minute on that.
The total contract price is 84,000.
Yes.
How did you get that contract?
Yeah, we sent out an RFP, evaluated bidders and selected this company, and they did a proposed contract. Yeah,
I mean, if you want to approve it tonight, you can approve it subject to attorney review. We'll review it and get back to you. And if you don't want to wait a month or
Yeah.
until your next meeting.
Yeah.
we had a extensive public discussion about it, so I would be comfortable.
I mean, if
doing
you're okay with the purchase price, or not the purchase price, but if you're okay with the pricing of it, then you can authorize, you can approve it subject to attorney review as the form and content.
I would like,
I'll make that motion subject to returning review. We approve
I
the,
would second that.
I'll second, okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, carried 5-0.
thank you. I had a nice informal meeting last Thursday with Glenn Houseman about the Lake Lennar water quality situation. And I assured him that once we get Lake Luzerne water quality under control, we are going to work our way up the chain of lakes. That's been the recommendation from the experts, and that makes the most sense to me as well. I had a meeting with Tracy Clothier, our planner, grant writer, and she's going to start the master comprehensive plan revision process in May. So the first meeting will be sometime in May. We've settled on a basic approach, but that'll be up for the town advisory committee to get on board with that or change the plan, the procedure to develop a plan. So anyways, we'll see some action in May. We sent out a letter. I sent out a letter on behalf of the board supporting the roof grant that Peniel Camp is trying to secure. That letter went out a couple days ago. I called everybody about it. It's just a letter saying that we support their application. Doesn't have anything to do with binding us to any money or anything.
I need a copy of that.
I have it with me. That's it. Thank you.
Councilman Hammond,
Another new first full meeting.
good job.
It's good times, but yeah, I look forward to being on the workplace violence committee. I'm familiar with it, where I used to work.
All right, town clerk, deputy clerk.
Yes.
Gene,
What? I'm
nice
sorry.
meet. No.
I got you first, didn't I?
Well, you started there, but it kind of disappeared from me.
Okay, I'm sorry. Got a lot going on.
Thank you. Myself personally, I'd like to set up a committee in regards to looking into the cost of going out and setting up our cost on the garbage situation of picking up our garbage and that. I understand we're looking at a cost of possibly up to $230,000, maybe $240,000 for a new garbage truck. And I want to take a serious look. We know our costs and everything this year's, and possibly going out and having it done by a contractor instead. I asked Mr. Hanlon here to co-chair with me, if that's okay with the rest of the board. I'd like to set that up and pull the figures together to find out if it is a fact that we can possibly do this out by contract. If that's all right with the rest of the board.
I have no problem with it.
It's a good idea.
Okay. Recycling. It would be part of that whole situation. Okay. The other thing I was looking at, which I talked with Eugene, in regards to the lifeguard situation. I think that's got to be set tonight so that can go forward. And how we're taking care of those people. So we do not lose our situation with the lifeguard and our beaches for this upcoming summer. We ought to be setting a rate.
Want to talk about the letter we got? Go ahead.
Pardon?
Talk about the letter we got about it.
Well, you read that
I read it too.
last quarter or at our agenda meeting that without looking it up, I believe Corn is offering to pay and their signs up at $17 an hour, which we are not paying our lifeguards at this time. That my feeling is the only way to keep our lifeguards that we presently have and coming up is we're gonna have to match that or possibly sweeten a little bit.
And Corinth's ad said they would pay for the training at the end of completing 1 year.
Which we have done in the past.
Weren't we doing half and half?
Half in the beginning and half at the end of the session.
I thought I had that letter, but I'm sorry. I don't.
I also asked the director of that, of the lifeguards, to find out how many lifeguards are coming back and how many were short. And I have not got that back as an answer yet.
I think you got no choice. You have to do it. If the other towns are trying to outcompete everybody, the lifeguards are going to be rarity like all the other jobs. And we have a pretty good crew and I hate to lose them. They've been around, some of them have been around quite a few years.
So the ones that were paying less than that, we're gonna bring it up to that figure
Right.
at the same.
Everybody will get the same. New ones and anybody that's, I think they were getting 16 last year.
My only ask is that if we're reimbursing for education, which I think is great, we do it at the end of the year, not at the beginning. That way there's a little bit of a tether there to keep them from jumping ship and going somewhere else. It's only, somebody does that in a company, you take some training, you're reimbursed, but it's after a certain time of service or whatever. So at the end of the year, I think would be appropriate, not as soon as upon completion, because then there's nothing to keep them from jumping somewhere else.
Well, they're going to have to pay it then.
They'll pay it up front, but we'll reimburse it.
Okay.
Everything's reimbursed.
Which is what we're doing now.
Which is exactly what we're doing.
Another thing that I thought we ought to be looking at, I talked to you in regards to the main beach, the septic system.
That's, so it's working out. Karen could tell you about.
Karen is gonna give a report on that, I'm assuming. We have not taken care of the situation of house cleaner for this building yet. Okay. Something that needs to be finished up, that's on a list of things to be done. And also, we ought to be taking a look at SW1 and SW2. The costs are increasing in both locations. And might be a situation that we might have to do on those situations. Or look at possibly putting meters down at SW2 on the homes to find out how much water we're using. The only place that I'm aware of is you've got the meter coming over the bridge. Is that correct, Ron? And that's telling us how many gallons we're using. We have no other indication in that SW2 if we got leaks in the system or anything, do we? No. I think it's something that the water department ought to take a look at, get costs together in regards to, we're talking 133 people in that area that do, or 113 people that are on SW2 about getting meters on to find out if the water coming across the bridge is being used at the houses Or is there multiple leaks down there? We have no indication of either. That's all I have.
All right. It's something that we gotta track. Stuff to really track unless you have meters. And you're looking at quite a large sum of money for meters, but we'll have to look into the price to get meters.
Well, if you look at the cost that is being spent down there in SW2 at the present time, and the people living down in that area, and our fund in that area has been depleted because of the excessive amount of water that's being used over the last few years. Watering lawns, filling swimming pools and everything else. And there's no way to determine where this water is going. We've got to come up with some solution. I don't want to just go down there and say, guess what? We're going to raise your rent up $100 more a year. It's something that's got to be looked into.
We're supposed to get the report from Corinth this month for.
It
next
doesn't
year's
matter.
bill.
We don't have any other thing
Well, I
except,
understand that, but we could look at 2 different years to see how much water was used, and it might give you an idea of what's going on.
if they say we spent 67 million gallons down there, okay, how can we determine anything else? And that's what they said. If we don't have some way of tracking where this water is being used, is what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying,
Okay. So
but
you,
unless you put meters on, we'll have Ron go up and down the lines with water detecting sound, or it comes out of the ground, it's tough to find out where it's going.
Still coming across the bridge one way or the other through the meter.
Mhm.
I think what Paul's saying, though, he wants to hold the individual people accountable for their own usage, not the fact that we know water's coming across the bridge. It's a little deeper than that, but he just wants to know who's abusing it or whatever. That makes sense.
Are you advocating we put meters in?
I'd like to know what the cost is, yes. Okay, and find out exactly. You know, if you're talking a dozen people that are totally misusing it and driving the cost up, okay, to, let's say there's round figures, there's 13 people abusing the system and bringing it up another 100,000 gallons through the course of the year, and the rest of the people in that area are paying for it. I don't think that's right.
Yeah, I agree. It sounds like we're flying blind. Can we get prices?
Sure. Yes, companies do it. We can look into it. I have no problem with it.
I think it's a
But
good
it's gonna be
idea.
expensive, because I know when we put the Wheaties in this town, it's well over $100,000.
I'm just.
But
making
yeah,
this-
we can look into it.
I'm just making this up. It might be expensive to keep doing what we're doing. We don't know.
All right,
So would you be doing kind of like what you do in SW1 though, having a certain amount of gallons allowed for a certain price like we do up here in
Mhm.
SW1?
That's the way it have to work,
Okay, I
yeah.
didn't know if you guys.
Everybody will pay a flat price, and then the ones that go over that flat price will pay like we're doing on this side.
Yeah.
Get it done.
Let's get ahead of
But
ourselves, but
it's the meters that you gotta get.
step one
first.
is find out how much it's gonna cost to meter it. If it's $50 million.
Maybe there's a grant out there again, like we had on the first time around.
That's a good point.
All right. Karen?
You want to go first? Ron wants to go first.
Okay, Ron, I'm sorry.
The highway has made leaps and bounds on improvements on snow removal this year. As everyone can see, there's no sand on our roads. That is because of, we've gotten new type of plows and all our trucks have been calibrated. This is the first for the town to not have any sand, and I've been here 20-something years after a winter. Going all salt, I believe has really paid off. This will save our department by $25,000 to $30,000 picking up from not having to pick up all this sand throughout the whole town. We now can start our projects that much earlier, 4 to 6 weeks earlier than we ever have. The highway department had 22 storm events that we had to go out and treat the roads. This winter, the department bought 1,000 tons of salt with 150 still in our, on hand in our salt shed. We averaged about 4 tons of salt per storm per truck. That's just over a loader bucket throughout the whole storm. I think that's excellent. We've made over 15,000 gallons of salt brine and applied at 10 cents a gallon, the cost to make it. I believe this is well worth the cost compared to previous years where we spent weeks picking up 30,000 yards of sand on our roads. I think it's awesome that we don't have any sand on our road. Friday, Thursday night rainstorms washed out many roads. Beartown had multiple areas where it was washed out where cars couldn't even pass through. And we had Pleasant View and Thomas Road that had some washouts. The guys worked all day to get Beartown Road back open, get it passable so cars could get through and people to get out because they couldn't even get out. Road work will continue on Hawk Road, we're changing culverts, cross culverts, and shoulder work on there, and I hope to start the old garage in another week or so. I'm getting that drainage and getting that ready to be paved. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ron. Good report. Aaron?
Okay, I put out late today my report to you. You should all have it in your email, but basically, the first part of it is just a number of permits, APA correspondence, planning board, zoning board report. I had on here zoning board of appeals. We need an alternate. We've taken care of that. We've taken care of the planning board tonight. I do need a clerk for the zoning and planning board. We have talked about hiring someone at a flat rate for both meetings. And we've also talked about making it part of the deputy zoning officer's responsibility to take the minutes and transcribe the minutes of those meetings. There's been no decision which way to go, but we need one. I've got a meeting Thursday night. I have no clerk. So I don't know which way the board wants to go with this, whether we want to advertise for a clerk for both boards. It's 2 nights a month, and it makes sense to pay like a stipend for it because you can't determine per hour what it's going to be. Some nights it might be a half an hour, some nights it might be 3 hours. So in the discussion amongst some of the councilmen, the idea has just been to pay probably a flat fee stipend to a person for both meetings if we hire outside of the deputy zoning officer. We still have not hired anyone for the deputy zoning officer position. I have spoken with 2 people regarding it. We've received 1 application. Did that get put in their packets? Okay, we've received 1 application for the position. My question is, what's the cutoff date for the application is going to be? I know Jim Niles had contacted Wayne Lamothe County Planning. And I don't know if you had any results from that contact.
I have
or not,
but I haven't followed up, which I will.
But we need to, we have 1 application. I did not interview. I spoke with the person to let them know what the position was going to be, but you need to do an interview, but you need to put in a cutoff date for the interviews so that you know who you've got out there applying for the position. We did discuss between Councilman Niles and Supervisor Merlino, because one of the applicants was asking what the rate was going to be, and through the discussion, we figured that it would be fair to advertise it at starting at between $15 and $16 an hour for a 20-hour week. The idea is that they would work the same hours that I work for now, and once they've learned the position, we would change those hours so that the office is covered 5 days a week instead of 4 days a week. But to start out with, they would work alongside of me so they could learn the job. I raised some questions for me in this process. I looked through the employee handbook, employer handbook, and there does not seem to be anything in there regarding a probationary period. I know that when I worked for the county and you hired someone, they were on probation for 6 months. During that time, if it didn't work out, you could let them go for basically no reason. Here, if you hire someone, they're hired, and there's no probationary period. Not that I don't want it to work out, because I certainly do want it to work out, but how would you get rid of an employee that isn't working out, is my question. As being in that position, would you end up having to take them through some kind of disciplinary process? There's nothing written up for us to follow, is my point. There's not, from reading through this handbook, it appears as though part-time employees are not eligible for holiday pay, sick leave pay, or vacation pay. I'm assuming that's correct, that as a part-time person, you are not. So if the holiday falls during the week, in the hours that you're scheduled to work, you just don't get paid those hours. So that was some clarification that I wanted on that. And as far as that septic report that Councilman Lewandowski was talking about, I did contact New York State Department of Health. I spoke with Kevin Kenyon, who is my contact there for commercial septics. He indicated to me that it would, if the town needs to do a repair to that septic tank over there, it does not necessarily have to be an engineered system. And he sent to me paperwork that it's an intent to repair or replace a system that you would file with the state. They would look at it, and if they felt that what you were doing was simply a replacement, in most cases you would not have to have an engineer involved in the replacement. So it's going to depend upon, once you get into the ground, dig up what's there, find out what the issues are and what needs to be replaced, as to whether you need an engineered system or not. But right now, if all we're talking about is replacing a steel tank with a concrete tank, and we are probably not going to need an engineer plan to do that.
Ron, are your men gonna be able to handle that? Huh? You've got the equipment to hang over the top of that bank and put a concrete tank in?
Brent has an estimator that we can borrow.
Thank you.
If we get the hole ready, they can set it themselves, the company that we buy it from.
How are they gonna back down that hill?
We'll find a way.
It's quite a ways.
Did you get this?
Okay.
Well, we were gonna look at it last week, but there was still some snow in that area. So we'll get it this week or next week to look at it.
Okay, shall I move on? I spoke with Matt Kendall from the Adirondack Park Agency this week, or I believe it was last week now. And I asked him to send to me electronically a copy of the application that the town submitted to them back in 2019. As you recall, the attorney at that time worked with Tom Reed to submit that application. And it turns out I do not have a complete copy. So I've asked Matt Kendall to send me a copy. I received it by email today. In my discussion with Mr. Kendall, he informed me that if the town is looking at submitting that application, it will not be a resubmittal. It will be a new application. They have put out a new application and it has to be completely redone. Part of the process will be that the town will be responsible for filling out the part 1 of the secret form. Again, last time the town attorney worked on the form with Mr. Reed, and I don't know who you are going to assign to do this if we get to that point. I mean, you've got to we're going to have a public hearing on it to decide whether or not the town's going to move forward or not, but I thought I should let you know that it's not going to be a resubmittal. It will be a whole new application. And he also indicated to me that the board on the Adirondack Park Agency has changed and that the board now seems to be a much more conservative board, that the committees have taken things to this board that the committees have recommended that they pass, and the new board has voted down a couple of them. So just so that you're aware of that's what is happening at the Adirondack Park Agency level from that discussion with Mr. Kendall. I have one other question. I spoke with a gentleman today in my office regarding the reclassification of the APA land, and he indicated to me that he might possibly like to serve on that comprehensive plan committee. I don't know, have you filled all of the positions that were empty?
There's one spot still.
I directed him to contact you, so if you get something from a Kevin O'Brien, he has a degree in planning.
Okay.
But it's more of a, well, he can explain it to you, but he has a degree in planning.
We do have another person that's expressed an interest, and that is Patricia Goldberg,
Okay,
who was on it back in 2010.
okay. I just wanted to pass that on to you. I didn't know if there were any
Do you
positions left
recall
available.
what was the basis of the number 15 people? Why is it 15? Why can't it be 14 or 16?
I don't know. I don't know if it was subcommittees that the attorney at that time was looking at that was set up by him. I have no idea. I was not included in those conversations.
Okay, I can't remember how that number was arrived at either.
I don't know. It may be subcommittees that he was looking at, trying to divide the numbers up into subcommittees.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was not part of the conversation.
I mean, the two people we just,
I wouldn't turn anybody away.
No,
That's
I
just
just
great.
wanna add
If
one
we're
or
gonna
two
have 20,
more.
then that's great.
Yeah, wanna
Tricia
add
wants to
20.
get on,
Yeah.
this guy, whatever.
I agree with that.
yeah.
So who, this gentleman wants to get on and.
Sure, you're gonna lose
That's
something.
all I have.
All right, that's it, Karen?
Yes.
Are you last, Dean?
Yeah, I'm last.
I got one thing. I don't know if we gotta go into water board to talk about or not.
That's what it is.
New guy down there, Jeff, he wants to move the test site that's just across the river more towards down at the end of that that water down there on towards Crin. We're getting residual across the river right when it comes over. We need it at the end of the line. So I had the people that own the Tree Farm Drive. They came to me, they kind of are thinking they want water out to their building. They're gonna get some grant. They needed water out there. So if it's okay with the board, I'll eliminate their cost and see if I can put the test site right where his driveway is. And if at the end of the line, it would be excellent place to get.
I don't think you really need a resolution for that from the board. I think as long as we agree, you could move
Just
it
about eliminating the cost probably. Yeah.
and eliminating the cost.
Eliminate the guy's cost, because I'm gonna have to do a drill and tap on the main and then send it underneath the road. His cost would have been $1,200 for a new hookup. So if we eat that cost and he lets us put a test site right there,
Are all you board members in agreement with it?
Yes, I agree. What about any legal, as far as issues with putting it on?
We're just trying,
Right with the health department, the lady over at the wastewater treatment plant where we send the samples, we have to document all this, where we're moving it, it's like adding one, whatever.
what's that? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, does it have to be documented? What's it, Maria? Or-
Maria, yeah, Jeff he'll call her and contact her and let her know that the whole site's gonna be changed and everything.
We have to get an easement to put something on somebody's property.
That was my question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would get their permission, then we could get something written up.
Yeah.
You're gonna either need an easement or some sort of legal license agreement in place.
It's just gonna be, we're protecting those landowners down there to get a better test site.
Why don't you just go ahead and don't do it yet. Go ahead and get your information, make sure the landowner agrees to it.
Yeah.
And then come back here with a proposal and we can pass it through the water board.
That's fine. Yep.
Yeah, and we have, make sure we get the attorney involved, so the easement process, yeah,
I'm sure.
the easement process doesn't happen overnight.
Would it be all right just to get the landowners okay?
No.
And something in writing?
No,
No,
Well, that's what the easement would be.
I mean, I wouldn't recommend that you just get some, on this yellow sheet of paper or something. I wouldn't recommend that. I think you should get a formal, you want to make sure that the town is protected and, there's not going to be any.
We'll break that up and then I can bring it to the landowner.
Especially if we're defraying cost.
Well,
To gain access there, we need documentation. of that.
Yeah, we're gonna need some more particulars, like the property information. We can find out the property owner and things like that, but only the property information if there's any specific area. I mean, if there's a map or something that can be attached as an exhibit, so specifically where you're required to be. Otherwise, you would need to get some sort of survey to show precisely what area the town can access versus it has to be pretty specific.
It's doable. It's doable.
Yeah.
Where's the nearest hydrant down there?
Huh?
Where's the nearest hydrant down in that area?
Across the street from there, but that would be right in someone's front yard. This would be out in the field, it wouldn't affect anything. Especially when he's running it during the winter, so it doesn't freeze.
He runs it year round.
Just winter time. So it would just be an ideal place for it.
all right, we'll have to take these notes down and get with attorney and figure some stuff out for him.
I'll check with Melissa tomorrow and see if we have any kind of a deed on file for that property. And I'll look in my files and see if I have any kind of a survey or anything at all. I don't know that I do, but I know what property it's Carpenter's, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll look tomorrow,
All right,
see what I
thank
can
you.
find.
That's a question for the lawyer.
If it's in the
If it's in the county's right away, would
It's
we
a
need?
county road there, but I have spoken with the county before about the right of ways and they don't have a set written right of way that
Oh, they just do it from the center line over.
Well, they did on Hall Street when they did all that construction.
did they?
Oh, yeah, they had mats and everything. They
Well,
were 20 feet over.
I had
the
called them
yards.
before to ask them what the right of ways were and they didn't have any set right of ways.
I mean, I guess we'd need more information and then we'd have to have a conversation with the county if that's
Yeah.
really where it is.
All right.
All right, thanks, Ron. The only thing I got, a couple of little things also on this resolution we brought up at the last meeting about getting a truck for buildings and grounds. I had asked her, let me go out and go look at some trucks 2 or 3 years old, not more than 30,000 miles, and they're hard to get. All right, what did come up, and I had colored pictures and I've got to make them for you guys. I'll have them ready tomorrow. There's one at Nemo Ford. This truck here is, and Ron knows about it. It's what we're looking for, and I think it'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone. It's completely ready for the winter. V plow in the front, one of them yellow standing boxes in the back. around about 10 grand for those two pieces right along. right?
Yeah, alone, yeah.
So it's 61,000 a little change. I have the whole thing outside. I'd like to go ahead and move on this before
How many miles on it?
it's 7,000 miles on. It's not even a year old yet. It'll be a year old 23rd of May.
Yeah.
The gentleman wanted a diesel before the beginning of the season and they couldn't get it to him, so he purchased this one. They got him a diesel after the season, so he's traded this in. That's what they're telling me at the deal. It's got complete 2-year left on the contract, warranty and everything else.
Is it an F-250 or 350?
It's a, I have,
He's
he has.
I know, I thought it was 350.
It's a 350. Yeah, it's a 350. It's a big one.
Yeah.
There it is right there.
And if you find one, think about moving on it. If you do find one, because they're hard to find.
Yeah.
They are hard to find.
4-wheel drive, 8-foot box, standard. Right. So,
And it was 52,000 last year without that extra equipment on.
Oh, yeah. They're not giving them away either.
Oh, they're
No
not
one
giving
else.
them- And if you order, the plan was let him finish that there. So
Is this available from like a state contract?
Well, I talked to the auditors today.
What location, Ron?
Eberford.
And it's tough to get put out a bid on it, or they said I have to do it and we'll do it, put it out for 2 weeks, but to get that exact truck, it's used, it's not new.
Yeah, no, I understand.
So we have to have everything on it, and I have all the specs, put it out, see if somebody could underbid it someplace, and have to wait 2 weeks. So, gentlemen, I've talked to a couple of people. I think Ron agrees the truck's well worth it. It's in great shape.
what do you guys think about that price?
I know what they gave me for mine on trade-in, so I'm not surprised that it's that much.
Yeah, I did a little poking around online and
And anything,
you don't get much.
when I
You're not gonna
spoke-
get deals.
When I spoke to you gentlemen 2 weeks ago, we were getting a smaller truck just to get through the summer and then put in for a new truck next year. I think this kills two birds with one stone. Take off all the equipment of the winter stuff, use it the rest of the year and then put it back on. We won't have to buy out a new truck. They're telling me it's gonna be 4 to 8 weeks if we order a truck. Months, excuse me, months. So, and it could be more money now, so.
It's gas, right, Ron?
Yeah.
Is that what you prefer?
Yeah. Stay away from that death fluid stuff. Yeah, with a pickup.
So what I'd like to do is, if it's all right with you gentlemen, I'll lay that all out and we'll get it out. I called the purchasing agent at the county today and she sent me roughly 20 people that will mail it to where she mails when she's looking for something. Yeah, dealers and stuff. And see if somebody can come in and beat it. I doubt it. It's, but you never know.
Will they hold it?
Huh?
Will they hold
Well, I
it?
have to go back there tomorrow and see if they'll hold it for 2 weeks. I told them I was gonna bring it up at the meeting
Can we put a
tonight.
deposit on it?
Huh?
Can we put a deposit on it so they will
Well,
hold it?
I have to ask them about that.
That might work.
Yeah, but I can't, but what happens if we get a bid lower?
I think our town council might have an opinion to offer.
No, we can't, that's not permissible.
No.
You're also gonna have to put this at least once noticed and out in the, like, in your official newspaper. You can send it out to people, but it has to be competitively bid. So it has to go in to the paper and you have to get back sealed quotes.
So it's all right, you gentlemen, I'll go ahead and do that tomorrow.
Yeah, something.
We have to have a resolution.
Yeah. You should identify, well, I don't know if you want to decide when you want these back. The notice has to be in the paper at least 5 days, for at least 5 days before you open them.
Right, she told me I had to put at least 2 weeks to the county purchasing.
Well, I mean, it's more reasonable to set it out for that much, 5 days is a short period of time for people, but that's a minimum in the newspaper.
Well, we need a resolution to proceed forward. If we do, well, I make a resolution.
We'd have to vote on it when they come in.
Okay.
That's when.
This would just be to go out to
This is
bid
just,
for
don't
the-
let me go up, do it.
Building.
for the bid.
Yeah, I suggest we do move forward, which way we can.
All right, everybody move forward.
Make a
we need
motion.
Second.
I second it.
All in favor for going out to bid?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
If you need any help with that, let me know.
Yeah.
Run around.
I've been through a couple. I went, even buildings around, there's no real good trucks.
Oh, I know.
Price. They're crazy.
Oh,
All right.
we need to-
That's a good
Hold on.
price.
hold on. We need to know the date they want it back. See if it's-
Yeah, what date do you want to have them? Like,
Well, what's 2 weeks from tomorrow?
26?
So 2 weeks, what's today, 11th?
All right.
We have a meeting already scheduled for
Yeah.
the 25th
Yeah, well,
and the 26th.
That's our agenda meeting.
Yeah,
no agenda meeting is like this.
25th.
We can do it on the 25th.
Open up on the 25th.
Or have them here by the 25th
25th.
and take them to whatever next.
I'd have them
meeting
here,
is.
I'd have them here before that Friday.
Okay, that's
Right.
Friday. That's not, is that 2 weeks?
22,
See, today's the 11th, so
yeah.
that's not quite 2 weeks. What do you have down? We have a 26th.
Yeah.
Have you on- have you on the
The
Monday.
25th at 1 o'clock in the
Yeah, the
afternoon.
25th at 1 o'clock, and we'll open them on the 26th. We have another meeting.
April 25th
Right.
by 1 PM.
And then open them on the 26th
26th.
at 7 p.m.
Yep.
Yeah.
On your all bids.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna have to, because I want to get this. Can you send me? Give them the superintendent.
Set.
Yes.
All right, there's a couple of, we got 2 applications last week, towards the end of the week, in the packet. I'd like to give them out to you for a constable and the town court office. We got one today and one. So we could set up a time, one of these meetings to have a interview and see what we could pick. So. The only other thing, and I spoke this 2 weeks ago. Open space is owned, they don't own it, still belongs to the town, but they have control of that property around the old town hall, 8.5 acres. We've been meeting with them for the last 2 years, and I think they're finally ready to give the property back to the town. No money, no nothing, and take away their restrictions. And this could be a future spot for a building for the boat school. That's why we really got into it, because they want to expand. They moved, they're getting a building in Queensbury. I don't want to get them a lot of their classes out there. I'd like to keep them here. So, but Open Spaces wants to return that 8.5 acres. And they also have 8 acres. We went and looked at it 2 weeks ago, a week ago. It's on River Road. It's right on River Road, right across from the Hudson River. We have to pass a resolution if we want them, just to keep them as parkland or parking lot for down by the river. And so I thought I'd have all that information here today. They told me to have it, it didn't come. So I'll have to wait, you know. So just letting you know that right now. Okay. Also had a meeting this morning with the superintendent of schools and DOT. A handicap ramp is being suggested for right across from the school. So they're parking that parking lot to get them down across 9N into the school. And DOT was there, it's something they, I have the picture here. Pass it down. The 2 red lines that are right here, the red line here is where we're crossing the kids now. And they want to move it to here, but if they move it to here, there has to have a handicap ramp coming down out that bank there. And DOT will take care of the rest of it on its side. But I called the county DPW, and they have a couple engineers in case we have to have it engineered. that they'd probably be able to work on it.
Would they be eliminating the other
Yeah.
crosswalk that we currently
But
have?
that, after the whole conversation, it got a little confusing because I don't think we finally made that decision today at the meeting. Because if you eliminate that one, it gives you a problem going down Mill Street or up Mill Street where but that crossing guard has to stop traffic from Mill Street and traffic coming north. So it's getting kind of confusing. If we move it down there, we might have to. So this is just discussion. I just, nothing set in stone, and I'll get back to you on that.
One question, Gene.
Yes, sir.
Supervisor, if we have them crossing there, handicap there, creating another crossing, of course, would it be more prudent to have our crossing guard in more control of the crossing area down in the ends for safety reasons?
Well, then you'd have to have two,
Have 2 crossing guards.
because they'll need one at that spot where they want everybody to cross. No more using the
I think for
one.
handicap, it's very important to have a crossing guard there.
Yeah.
Because if somebody
Yeah.
can,
Yeah.
they're a little.
Why aren't they using the
ambulatory?
I'm sorry?
Why aren't they actually using the handicap? in the parking lot right now?
Because everybody parks there. You see, it's crazy. You can't even get in and out of that parking lot. Teachers.
You know what I'm
students,
saying?
They load it right up. You can't even move.
Where are you talking?
You know, the parking lot right directly in front of the school.
Right.
Why aren't they converting that over and putting the normal people that can walk without handicaps in the other parking lot? Now, that's gonna cut out a crossing guard for one thing. It's safer for the handicapped people to be on the same side of the street, getting loaded and unloaded in that parking lot.
Well, they're trying to get the people that are coming out of that parking lot across by the beach. That's where a lot of people parking and, kids.
But I'm saying, put the handicap people
handicap spaces
in
on the
there,
school
put
side.
the other people in that parking lot.
One thing observed, if you park there, all the handicap spots are down by the current crosswalk.
Right.
It's less of a grade. Would it be just put them across there?
That's a heck of a drop coming off.
That's quite a drop coming off that sidewalk.
It's really, I looked at it today with them, it's really not a lot. It's not a big, if you come, it's halfway up the parking lot where it's just.
Yeah.
But
We're
it's
coming
just,
down if we're going up, it's a different story.
when you're gonna go up to a platform and then turn and go up the ramp into the
Okay.
parking lot. That's the way it is. This is their suggestion, not mine.
This was just in school,
School and DOT.
because they contacted the DOT.
Yeah.
I would
Well, the
suggest
school's
that-
having trouble with kids parking, crossing between the cars and.
I saw a sign there in front of the school today
Yeah.
that said walk down. to
That,
the-
well, it's been there about a month now because they had some complaints about kids going between the cars. So now everybody has to go down the end and go across.
Yeah, it's a.
But it's just, I'm just bringing you up on it and we'll have more on it. And that's about all I have. So we have to open the floor to the public.
Can I do my report?
What's that?
Can I do my report?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I call on you already?
Okay. Our March 2022 Town Clerk's Report is in your packets. Our tax collection, the collection of payments ended on March 31st. We've reconciled our collection and are settling with the county on Wednesday, April 13th. We collected 82% of the warrant this year, which is slightly higher than previous years. Our office will be closed April 25th to 27th while we attend the New York State Clerks Association 40th Annual Anniversary Conference in Albany. And this will be posted on the website in advance. I've been working with the software company to get into the older version of the water program, which they have found a way to do that for me. And they're going to work with me on that. But as we were doing that, we had a major issue with the server. And so that set us back another week or so. So that is in regards to Half Mile Marquee. I have to look up the older version bills to be able to calculate that properly. And that's all I have.
All right. I'll open the floor to the public. Whoa. All right, we'll start with.
Thank you. Howard Schaefer, 14 Second Avenue in Lake Luzerne. The Lake Luzerne Association and the C-SLAP team of volunteers would like to express appreciation to the entire town board for its continuing commitment to keep the lake healthy and milfoil free. We're looking forward to working with all of you for this summer to make certain that our lake is going to be Clean for future generations. The Lake Association has its annual general breakfast meeting on Saturday, July 2nd. It's not that far away. You're all invited. It's 9 o'clock at the Pavilion on 9N. Again, 9 o'clock. That is a breakfast meeting. It usually goes for about 75 minutes, and it's an update of town activity, the Lake Association activity. So we hope to see you there.
Thank you, Al.
Say 9 o'clock.
When is the date on that again?
Saturday, July 2nd. 4th of July weekend.
Yep.
You have my hand up.
Pam?
Kim Pettis. Mike, how come you don't have your computer on?
I don't know. That's that gentleman.
My question is, in regards to putting someone on the town board, when you appointed someone, why did you not go with your transparency with the town and go with the next person that had the most votes? There was a Republican committee that not everyone was aware of, a local one. I'm just wondering how you determined putting Mr. Hanlon on the board.
What, so transparency in your definition is
That's
to check the number of votes you get?
Because
I'm just
you're
asking,
going-
let me ask you a
yeah,
question.
I'm going to answer. Because the town voted for the next, had the votes for the next highest person. So Mr. O'Neill, they voted for him to stay on. He naturally got off, which is fine. But why wouldn't you go with the next person that had the number of votes, which is what the town people wanted, the voters in this town?
It's not part of the, that's not how the process is dictated. You know that, Gene can tell you.
I
You know how the
know what
Republican
the
committee Gene
process
works.
is.
I know you don't want to get into it, but you know how it works, right? Tell her.
I know what the process is, Mr. Fazio.
Then why you asking?
I'm just wondering why you would not go with that if you want to go with what you're always saying you want to go with what the town people want, and you want to have transparency. Then why didn't you go with someone that had experience and the next number of votes? What's your reasoning,
Well, we have a Republican committee.
right?
You're Republican, right?
I didn't know there was a Republican committee meeting. Was it advertised?
You don't have to advertise. If you want Republican endorsement, Gene, help me out. You know, you've been doing it for 20 years. Why are you leaving me hanging here?
I'm
You know
not
how it
letting you
works.
hang there. I
This
believe
is
it should.
Am I correct?
No,
This is not
I
to
think it should be
supervise the
No,
advertised.
I'm asking.
Wait,
you.
wait, let me speak. I think it should be advertised so that the people in town could come to the meeting and ask to be
But that was it.
endorsed.
This is
Okay,
not.
And then,
Endorsement,
let me
supervisor.
finish, let me finish. And I asked this board, let me put it out to the public to get some yeah,
Letters of interest.
people that would want to be appointed to the board, send us a resume, and I was denied that. And the Republican committee, they took care of getting a person on it. And I said
That's
it,
the process.
and I
is it
said
not?
2 weeks ago, I didn't agree with it, and unfortunately, I still don't.
The last time there was an open position on the town board, there was an open interview because there were several people interested in it.
Was I nominated illegally?
I'm not saying that,
Was I, yes or no?
no. I'm not
We
saying
had
that.
other people come in front of the Republican committee besides Timmy and Pitch and asked to be the endorsed candidate. You never did.
I didn't know there was a meeting.
Okay, so that's my
No.
fault.
I'm
Or
just
our
asking
fault.
I'm just asking, why aren't you going with what the town wants? We're not talking
What's
about
the,
what
what's
you
the
want.
procedure? If we go by feelings, nothing gets done. 'Cause feelings change from one day to the next. You have to have procedure. If I was put on the board illegally,
I'm not
I
saying-
respectfully request to be taken off. I do not want that on my last name. To insinuate that I've taken this position illegally, if there's some smoke and mirrors of how I was asked,
Yes,
I
you were
accepted.
asked.
yes.
So you did not go to the Republican committee and ask them to be put on the town board, like Mr.
He's on the
President said.
Republican committee. man. That's fine.
You
No,
had
I'm
other
not-
people.
I'm
There
not-
was another person that ran in the election that was and did come to that meeting.
I'm not sure how that person,
He
about
asked.
it. I didn't-
He asked to come.
He asked, when's your meeting? You have my email, we have open line of contact. You could have called me and said, Mike, you know, I'm the chairman. You know, there's a government. You could have called and said, hey, when's your meeting?
I figured you were gonna go the same way you did before.
Oh,
and
now
have
you're
open
freaking out.
interviews.
You can't ride both sides of the fence here, Pam. It's one or the other.
And I'm not stating that you got on illegally. I'm
Okay,
not
I just
stating
want to
that.
clarify that. That's all.
Yes, I'm not stating,
Okay.
this has nothing,
It has everything to do with me because now you're the one I'm talking about. I'm the one you were talking about. So I
I'm just
have
wondering how
everything
they
to do-
came up to that, and why they wouldn't do what the voters in this town wanted.
The voters will have their chance to
Tim,
talk
Tim,
in June.
Tim,
Right, they will, because there's 3 people on there, on the ticket,
Right, there's an election coming up and let the
Yeah.
voters decide.
right?
100% agree with you.
But it just bores me that you're talking about transparency, and then. you
Procedure
don't-
has nothing to do with transparency, Pam. Don't mix the two to suit your agenda. It has nothing to do with each other. I appreciate where you're coming from. Transparency and procedure are not the same thing.
Transparency with the town.
However you want to pitch it, I'm not gonna argue with it. People here.
All right, we got to move on.
Okay,
Made
thank
your
you.
point. Thank you. I see another hand up there. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, guys. Donna Cobell, 74 Lake Avenue. Last year, some of the residents of the town had expressed concern about the way the recreational vehicles are being camps or whatever.
Can you give us 1 minute? It's got to change.
I'm sorry, Donna. We have
All right, we're good to go. Donna, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Like I was saying, last year it was brought up in the meeting, people using their recreational vehicles as camps or residences during the summer, just pulling them up and. And I was speaking to who is now a councilman and was told that if the person in charge of the zoning had it in black and white, that they are not allowed to do that, that she could have reason to go and tell these people they can't use their recreational vehicle like that. But there are stipulations in the general regulations in the master plan that they did in 2010. It really depends on whether it's has to be a mobile home or a recreational vehicle. But nobody is supposed to take their recreational vehicle, park it in the lawn beside their house or just on an empty lot and use it as a residence in the summer. And I think that some of the starting to do it again this year. I know that the comprehensive plan is being, hoping that this is more clearly and guys are more aware of that situation. Another thing, we all know that Tom Wilson passed away in February, and it's like Madeline had a dog park by the lake. And I talked to Madeline, and she's gonna try to do it this summer. But as a businesswoman in this town, I would like to put some kind of a memento there, marking that they were there and had a business, like the summer meeting was, and Mrs. Gardner that died, we had bench from the chamber and stuff, but I would like to know where that area is, what I am allowed to do, or like some direction I can use about that.
Well, that could be an easy, a little plaque. We could get a bench there and put it there. People could sit on it like we do in the park.
Yeah. I mean, I don't
That could
mind.
be taken. It's not an expensive event, and we make our own benches. If the board is all right, with it, we could take care of something like that.
I mean,
That's
I
a good
don't mind
idea.
doing it myself either. I mean, I just didn't know what the procedure was.
All right, thank you. One other hand, I'm sorry, there you are.
Mary Ellen Allison, Paulville. I just have a couple of questions. Does the town have a housing committee to
Not that
address issues in housing in our town?
Not that I know
Is there a way that we could have one?
May I ask, when you say a housing committee,
A committee to address any housing issues that come up in the town, because right now it feels like any housing issues will proceed. We just had that special meeting 2 weeks ago, and the developer seems to be driving the mitigation of housing issues in our town, where I think our town should be.
okay, so you're not talking about like complaints by tenants?
No,
Okay,
no.
because I
Just-
could direct you somewhere for that.
No.
That's why I was asking.
Looking to
Okay,
look at whatever issues there are or are not in our town and how to address them. But I feel like the town should be proactive. We shouldn't be taking our lead from a developer who stands to have personal gain from whatever he proposes. That's my first question regarding that. The second question is, could I volunteer to be on that committee?
You know, I was just thinking of asking you to do that.
And the third question is, even though we don't have a housing committee, does the town have a plan in place yet to address the Airbnb issue in our town?
That, right now,
Talked
we
about
don't.
it a number of times.
The county is doing one right now, and they're working on it. And, but just so you know, we did, well, some of them more, we did have a meeting about, I would call it 3 years ago, and had all those people in here, and it was really not welcome that we were doing it. But
I
the
understand
county's
that.
doing it now, and they will have to be, it should be done by probably the end of this summer. They will have to have inspection from the county. They will have to collect sales tax and off tax and have the proper insurance.
There's more to address than just those.
Oh, yeah, oh,
issues.
no, there is a lot.
And there are towns within the Adirondack Park, small towns like ours, that already have plans in place to handle them, because the advent of Airbnb is taking over what is considered more affordable homes in our area, is really a long-term effect on our town. It's taking those homes out of the housing market completely and putting them in the business market. It's turning a home into a business, and that home will never come back and be a home again. Because the person that bought that and uses it as a part of their commodity for their business is always going to want more than what that house is worth as a home. So I feel like our town needs to get in front of that quick, because another summer is coming. And I wondered if there was anybody that could reach out to another town within the Adirondack Park, see what their plan is, and see if we could get some legislation passed before the summer starts.
We have received, Mary Ellen, just to let you know, I believe it's from Warrensburg, Lake George.
Right.
Warrensburg and Bolton.
Bolton Landing
And
has it.
Bolton, copies of their resolutions on Airbnb. where we've looked into this stuff. It's something that has been going on for a period of time now.
Warrensburg's legislation is a little over 2 years old. Bolton's is only a year old.
Queensburg is about a year.
Did they?
Lake George has one as well.
I've talked to Warrensburg and theirs has been in long enough. They're happy with it.
This is a problem that's countrywide.
Yes.
So there are places, towns across the country that already have been dealing with this well for over 10, 12, 15 years. So I'm just asking that the town be proactive on that. And
Just for your information, on my list,
well, I'm very willing to volunteer on housing.
it came up quite a bit during the election season.
And then I do have a comment to make. I'd like to address a statement that was made by a board member at the special meeting held 2 weeks ago that addressed the proposed land use classification change in Lake Menard. The statement that indicated that the board member thinks that opposition to this change is held over fear from the Mount Luzerne project from 10 years ago. It is safe to say that the people opposing the proposed map amendment know the difference between a small village and a luxury subdivision. I ask that board members keep their inaccurate assumptions aside and listen to the citizens with objectivity. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comment. Then I'll just make one other comment. We had our meeting and I will abstain from most of that stuff because I got accused of trying to stop the Airbnbs because I have a 38-year-old bed and breakfast in town. And they all were saying I was trying to put them out of business, which they can't put me out of business, so. But we will, I think with something we've already kicked around a little bit. We have so many new things going on in the last couple of months, so. But I don't think you'd be able to get it passed by the summer. Only reason is you'd have to have public hearings, have to have an attorney write up the resolutions or, get some copies and see what it is, bring it in front of the board. But I'd like to have it for the first of the year.
As soon as possible, because the problem's already here.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, I was at a meeting in Lake Placid 5 years ago, and the mayor of Lake Placid told all the supervisors there, we got to watch out for them because they were losing their homes to have any of their kids come back to buy the houses. And they're being bought up not only by private people, they're bought up by corporations and things like that to have LLCs there. So we're aware of it. Thank you. Who?
Roberta B.
Roberta?
Hopefully you won't think this is too odd of a question, but because this is a grandma thing. And is there any feasibility or discussion, or could there be, as to putting in a small playground in the Pavilion Park? There are swings there, but they're really for older kids. There's nothing for younger kids. And sadly, the playground at the high school is been gone for quite some time. So there's really, it would be kind of cool to have the beach and the pavilion and a small little, nothing too fancy, but small little playground in the park, like right near where the swings are. I'd be happy to help work on it, getting prices or whatever, if it's something you would like to pursue.
Excuse me, you're a little staticky and sounds like you want something about a park, a playground. Can you send the town an email on everything you just said so we get it clearer?
Absolutely. Yes,
All right,
I can do
thank
that.
you. I don't know why you happen to be staticky, but.
Yeah, I'll send it to your office, Mr. Merlino. Is that okay?
Send it to your office.
Oh, you can send it to me. My email is supervisor Lake Luzerne @hotmail.com, or just drop it off at the town hall. And the ladies will get it to me and I'll bring it to the board.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Pam. I don't think so. Oh, you got another one over there? I'm sorry.
The parking lot across from the school, is that what you're talking about for the handicap ramp?
No, I'm not talking about the DEC and the schools. I'm just bringing the
The
message.
requirement is 1 inch per foot.
Right.
That must mean they're gonna have to take up half that parking lot. There's a 4-foot drop, I'm assuming about, you think, 4 foot?
It's a significant drop.
Yes.
You have to start the ramp halfway through the parking lot.
That's right.
No, well, okay, just so you know, you could put a platform right by the sidewalk. Okay?
There's gotta be a 4-foot landing before they cross the road.
Can I finish,
Go ahead.
sir? And go down along the road and the platform at the bottom to go across.
So they're heading
So
right
you're not
back
gonna take,
towards the crosswalk?
yeah, we'll head back that way, yeah.
Switch back.
You know, we'll have to, it was just a discussion. I brought it up just so you had a
Oh,
discussion.
I mean, but it takes 1 inch per foot,
Okay, yeah.
all right? And if there's a 4-foot drop, you're gonna need 50 feet plus 4-foot landing.
Mhm.
You don't have that there, so we may want to do some consideration. As far as this new town truck or whatever, is it a 1-ton, dual wheel, 1-ton?
1 ton.
Pickup truck?
350. The F-350.
Yeah, it's a
Single
1
cab.
ton.
Same, well, actually, it's nothing but a 3/4 ton with a 1-ton rating. Is that correct? That's all it is. It's basically a 3/4 ton truck. Do you know what the gear ratio is on that truck?
He's got the specs. I'm not sure what they are.
These are all important things to buy when you buy a truck. Is a gear ratio, what kind of snow plow, what kind of.
It's already got a
sander,
plow and sander on it, so.
What kind?
Fisher.
Fisher?
Yeah.
Stainless steel, V.
Yes, stainless steel V.
Those are all good parts. Just something to consider, all right? But it's basically a 3/4 ton truck. That's all it is. As far as the state, $50,000 in your markup there, is that your figure? Or
That's my figure.
figure?
Yeah.
Is that filling jobs or go there, do the job and get back?
It's go there. They have the product delivered and we would move rocks around, spread out, shoulder
10
stones.
trips at X amount of money is gonna be a loss. 1 trip doing the work for 5 days, we make money. 10 trips going there, we're gonna lose money. Something to think about, maybe no, maybe yes,
No, it's something to think about.
yeah. And whatever the worksheet requirement is. I mean, you know, if you go on the job and you're there, you have to stay and make money. If you're not employed, you're losing money. Something to think about. And then this application for the READ, is that gonna be reimbursed to the town from READ? Or is that gonna be the taxpayer's expense for this contract?
Well, which one? I'm sorry
For
for
the
that.
APA? READ, Thomas Reed application?
That you have to ask Karen.
What is your question?
Yeah, I'm confused too.
The town is gonna submit the application for them?
No.
It's not for, the town would be submitting the application. It's not specifically for
him.
Tom Reed, it's
Right.
for other properties. His property is included, but it is not set in stone that the town is going to do that yet. That's what the public hearing is about. There's no fee to do it. But the town would be putting in the application if they go forward with it.
The fee would be your salary that you're getting paid to do that.
Whoever the board chooses to do that
Or whoever the board
application.
chooses to do that. Does that sound, I think we should be reimbursed for that. Something for you to think about.
Well, it's my understanding he's going to incur all the expenses to prepare the application.
I don't know,
That's
because the
Sit there and say it's
application
not
is
for Tom,
changed.
And then ask him to reimburse us, because then ethically it is for him, right? I mean, how do you ask somebody to reimburse you and say, well, it has nothing to do with you, it's for everybody? That's not fair either.
No,
It
that's
doesn't
what
make
I'm
any
saying.
sense at all.
You know, our expense, the taxpayer's expense is your salary, which you earn every day. But are we doing it for a contract or contractors? I think there should be some reimbursement for that. Sure, I guess.
Thank you, Fred.
Thank you, Fred.
Pam, you'll be the last.
Everybody get a deep breath. This is good news. All good news, all good news. board and everyone up front that does have a copy. I will try to do the brief. And also, this is the brochure for my office. Special events, April 29th is National Historic Marker Day. So I got an invitation to be part of cleanup the markers that are in town. We have 11, and so I'm gonna get 5 or 6 people, and we're going to clean them. They were recently painted, I think within the last 2 years, Buildings and Ground did that, but I had to fill out the paper for the application to say that we were gonna do this. So I decided Colonel Butler's brigade. So we'll just be out for 2 hours and get a bunch of people to wipe them down, take a look at them, but also do a summary if there's something wrong with them and put that back in. May 4th is National State I Love My Park Day. Traditionally, we've had youth groups come here to stay all summer long. We didn't have them during the pandemic, and I don't think they're coming again this year. But again, I'll approach the churches to see if we can get youth, but to open up the pulp mill, get the spiders, the critters out, make it nice, get it ready with displays, exhibits, and we'll rig the path from Route 9 in down to Mill Street, and then across the street around behind Adirondack Folk School. And I talked with Rick, so I mean with breaks and stuff like that. But it's just more of a kid's day to get started and have that thing, have the pulp open up for the summer season. On July 4th, I do Stars for Troops, and this is where at the park, the Pavilion Park, we get together the neighborhood of Pierpont and put together thank you packets for military people. I gave away 950 last year. Flags that have been donated to put together for another 1,400 visitors or whatever this year. Folks love them. They're pretty sentimental. They're not very big. They're going to wallet. Town of Lake Luzerne History Day. This was created several years ago. Linda Mason took the lead on that. And by resolution of the town, we have History Day, and it's the 4th Saturday of July. And this year it'll be at the Pavilion Park with speakers and displays and handouts. September 25th is the 23rd annual pub party. It's 69 dogs and their friends and their families and about 200 people. 4 hours, they all get dressed up. And it's a Mardi Gras party this year. Things get better now. This gets better. In my office, when B. Evans retired, I'm pretty sure I was the only one left in the room, and I raised my hand and volunteered to be the town historian. So the filing cabinets that arrived were kept in the last 2 historians in their homes. They didn't particularly have any order to them. So for 4 years, I've been taking every piece of paper, putting it asleep, and then putting it into a storybook album. I have 76 albums broken down, and on the back of this, you can see the gist of it. But it's meant to be, if anybody wants to learn about a particular topic, sit down, open up the album, and because it's in a plastic sleeve, not hurt anything that's in it. The treasure is that some of these deeds and things are original. So wonderful to look at. Oral history interviews are very important. I have 4 tapes. One of them is Mrs. Harmon from the Harmon Cottage. She was 92. So it's just on one of the old. I'm going to work on having that transcribed and saved, so at least it's in paper order. To be read again, because it's getting more fragile.
Is it cassette tapes? Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Cassette tapes?
Yes.
So you could have them, take them, have them put on a disc or something too, if you wanted to, like that.
There needs to be a backup of some way of preservation and paper.
Companies that provide that service, I can help you. come up with one.
Good. Need the help? Okay. I have 2 boxes of the collection of photos and maps and larger items that I want to have reprinted, and so I'll work on my budget aimed at having them preserved in a stronger way. Let the original sit, let the copies be shown. Quite a while ago, there was this fancy idea of putting a water wheel on the outside of the pulp mill as an attraction to the way it used to be, where the water is turning and making the pulp. Buildings and Ground likes it. Rick brought it up again. I started the process. How does that work? What are we going to do? And it started with, do I need a permit? So I started in that department. Karen felt no, but I should ask the county. So I called them up, and the director felt no, but sort of both of them agreed, just in case I should check with APA. So my question is, do I have your support to fill out the form, tell them what we're gonna do, no cost, put it in and see if there's a problem with a permit? That's just asking to get more information. The actual buying of materials and construction and stuff like that is for another time. But it's just asking support now that I can make the phone call, print out the form, fill it in and get it to them just to see if there's any permits or what's gonna, yes or no.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, good. The county has a program, it's called letterboxing. And they, last year was the first time, all the towns in Warren County have, it's like cachet, it's a scavenger hunt. So this is kind of to promote tourism, and First Wilderness has huge social media going on and things all over, but we got to ask. I created the riddle, and I can't tell you the tiny spot because I don't know if they're going to do it, but it's in the pulp mill area. Here comes the big one. ANCA, Adirondack North Country Associations in Saranac Lake. They have overseen a national federal highway program for over 30 years. It's called the Scenic Byways. It's federal funding coming down to the state that trickles down to these highways. Unbeknownst to me, first of all, a federal highway is a designation that never goes away. The Dude Ranch Trail Scenic Highway came about in the early 70s, and it exists. It's on paper, it's there. And I'm asking your permission to continue conversations with the federal highway people, New York State DOT, Landscape and Architects Department, and to bring this concept to the surface like once it was. It affects Lake Luzerne, Lake George, Warrensburg, Thurman, Stony Brook, and Hammond. It's just a loop. And the thing that's missing is a comprehensive management plan. When it was designated directly along with 12 others in New York State, they didn't have to have a plan. In time, 20, 30 years later, a requirement is that you must have a management plan. So the next step is, let me see what you've got and let me find a way to get it updated and submit it. So I'm just asking again for support to go ahead, find out what you can, see if we can raise this up. You've seen the big signs. Some have Dude Ranch on them, some don't. Ours down my school doesn't. I think those were part of what happened in the day. And that's what's left of that era. But it's not focusing on Dude Ranch Trail. Let me just be clear. Any attraction, any tourist-oriented business, anything that it's all about tourism and promotion of the area that you're in and whatever you've got. But the funding that's coming down, every state is at 22 million in the fund now. I don't think we can qualify because that plan isn't done. So we're not in position, but should I be able to find more information with your support bring it back to the table, see if we can get a plan done. And it's an annual funding that could happen. So it's a yes or no, and I'm doing.
Absolutely.
Keep going, you're doing good.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Ben. You do an amazing job.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. All right, Stan Goldberg. Stan?
Yep. Thanks, Gene. The speaker view has not really worked this evening. Particularly those who are speaking at the public computer, we don't see them, we do hear them. It may be that Mr. Fazio doesn't have a computer tonight. I can't tell his voice against Mr. Niles' voice, but I don't think that's fully working. I know that the host is working on that.
It's not working. Basically is what he said. He couldn't hear.
He said they couldn't hear from the table.
Yeah, that might seem
All
sense
right.
to me anyways.
So Gene, why don't you just speak for a second? So I'm on speaker view. Let me see if I see you.
You're very staticky, Stan. I can't hear you.
You can't hear me at all?
We
No.
can hear you,
Just
but
can't
you're
understand
static.
you, Mr.
We can't
Goldberg.
understand what you're saying.
You're well, clear out
here.
That's not, can you hear me now?
That's a little better.
So, okay, I'll repeat what I said. The speaker view on Zoom has not worked this evening. In other words, the individuals on the board do not show up fully on the screen or even in a small way on the speaker view. The public speaker does not show up either on the speaker view. We only hear their voice. I have been working with the host on this as well.
All right.
Could I add something to that?
We'll have to get the IT guy back in here. It was working, but when we tested 2 Sundays ago, there wasn't people here and there wasn't people on Zoom. And
Right.
I still think we need some more adjustment.
Right. What I see
Now,
right.
as far as Mike, when you say Mike, Mike doesn't have a laptop there.
I know that, but you do.
Let me, yeah. I didn't think Mike was coming and we told him not to put it there, put it over there. Are those on for these people? Yeah, well, he does because.
Our attorney doesn't have one. Mike doesn't have one.
No, well, Mike, that was my fault because I didn't think he was coming. So I said, leave that one out and put it over there. So we have to get one more. I think we're 1 short or 2 short.
Right. So the only.
We weren't planning on those 2 on that table there. All right, Stan, thank you for your comments.
All right, if you want Patricia and I to help you out with the text, let us know.
All right, thank you. Anybody else out there? Kurt?
Yeah, hi. As long as we're talking about sound quality, I just wanted to point out that I could hear Stan perfectly well. So if you're having static on your end, there might be a different problem. I can't
It might
debug
be
it for
more
you.
adjustment on that. Mhm.
Okay.
All right, we have a little box over there that we just got and we got to adjust that a little bit better for the static. Thank you. All right, that's it. All right,
Make a motion.
we have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We got a second.
All in favor?
Aye, we're adjourned. Thank you all for coming.